All right, I'm gonna be filming on my phone because I'm not home. I'm in Montreal, Canada, Montreal, Quebec. And fun fact, I was actually born in Montreal. I have some family members who still live here. And yeah, I'm here to spend time with my loved ones. And wait, how is this gonna work? Because the way my camera's set up, you're a little far from the mirror. I think this is, wait, let me turn you around a little bit without you falling. Hold on, we're gonna make it work, We make it work, that's what we do, ladies, okay? And gents, we make things work in life. Okay, speaking of making things work, this is a very interesting time on social media, in Hollywood, etc. You know, when everything is just so virtual and, with quarantine and everything, people are spending a lot more time at home. And that also causes tension, and it causes some true colors to come out, if you're in a relationship, in a marriage, or even just if you're young and you just live with family, with your parents, let's say, you might find it a little bit more stressful than usual because you're spending so much more time at home where you have to face each other more consistently, and it's almost like a pressure cooker where it's like a time capsule in a way. Like you don't get the time to spend away from each other. That usually creates a breather. So when you have, let's say, a little bit of tension because of whatever, right? You have a little argument or someone makes a snappy comment, oh, you didn't do the dishes this time, I'm always making the dishes, let's say, right? And it kind of pinches you and you're like, But then you go about your day, you go to work, or I don't know, you have an event to go to in the evening, so you come back and it's kind of like, brush your shoulders off. It's like you let it slide. But now in quarantine, you kind of have to face those feelings for longer periods of time. And that can create stress in your relationships, in your friendships, whatever the case may be. Or if you're living with roommates, it's just, the clash could be a little realer than it ever was before with quarantine. I'm thinking about the amount of divorce stories we're hearing on social media, the amount of separations, and just, drama too. And I can't help, because I have a background in psychology. So because of that education, I can't help but see the link between mental health, psychological factors, and social factors, the condition of the world. Everybody is affected by the pandemic. And so this is affecting pretty much all of us. Now, I was listening to Shan Boody. If you're not familiar with her, she's a sexologist. She's Canadian, but she's living in the United States. And she put out a video about, I think it was stress factors or coping factors in relationships. And that really opened my eyes when it comes to a different perspective when we talk about, stress in relationships stress in relationships in quarantine, like during the pandemic, because it's very specific. Like you have to take account of what's going on in the world and how it can affect your relationships, okay? So one perspective, which I also have, is that when you spend so much time with another person or a group of people, it's like, again, a pressure cooker, and you get to see a lot of colors that you didn't see before. And that can cause a lot of stress, and it can help you also decide whether or not you guys fit well, if you are truly, good matches for each other. And the other perspective that Shannon brought is that it's unfair to judge people under these circumstances, because it's a situation that we've never seen before. It's a crazy amount of stress for the entire world. And so it can bring out other aspects of our character, or not even just bring out, it can create us to behave in ways that is not necessarily who we are. So again, that's a new perspective for me, because I would think that, true colors come out under pressure, like diamonds. That's how I see it. I see that you shine brighter under pressure, or if you're, let's say, a narcissist or a sociopath, that's the extreme. But if you have like really ugly character traits that we normally don't see when everything is rosy and beautiful, when things get real, when shit hits the fan, that's when you really see these colors. Okay, so this is supposed to be like a chit chat, get ready with me, but I am not doing anything. I've been talking much more, and it's already 7 minutes long. Okay, so I'm not doing the most. I'm just hiding imperfections, my dark circles, some acne scars. That's all I'm doing today, brightening a little bit. Got my lashes done. This is fun. But oh, I'm wetting my sponge. It looks a little dirty, but it's just stained. I'm wetting it in hot water. I always do that, and I did it in front of my friend the other day, and she was like, oh my God, that's genius. And I didn't realize that people don't know that. I didn't know that it was not common knowledge that when you're gonna wet your beauty blender, or just beauty sponge if it's not a beauty blender, because Beauty Blender is a brand. If you're gonna wet it, warm water is ideal, because it helps melt your product and it helps it blend it better. Also, I don't go, so I definitely, wring it, but I also like to add product on the sponge before I start blending, or else it will just pick up everything you already have on. So I'm using the bottom, which I usually don't do. Like for concealer, I like to use the sides, but I did that. Okay, I did that. So I add a little bit of product before I go into blend. That way it doesn't pick up the product. So as you could tell, this is about 1 or 2 shades lighter than my skin tone, and it'll brighten the under eye to make me look more awake. It looks like a lot right now, but then it gets better. And this is the side I usually use so that it can get right in there. So yeah, I like that new perspective, because, and I'm a sucker for arguments. Arguments, not in the sense that arguments may be the wrong term. I'm a sucker for debates, like good debates. There you go. For, conversations. Like, let's conversate. Let's figure out, the best solutions for issues, or, for misunderstandings. I'm all about good debates, because I think there's there's a lot of good, fruitful benefits to it. Fruitful benefits. It's the same word. It's the same meaning. You see what that did? It literally just woke me up. So for those who don't know, I don't really wear foundation. I do have the Fenty Beauty. I have a MAC one too, but I prefer to focus on having good skin, so a good skincare routine and a good concealer that I can literally just cover my imperfections. But like, it's still not full coverage. Like, I don't mind a little bit showing, like, we're human. We don't have perfect skin. I don't want to look like a doll with absolutely no blemishes. To me, it just looks fake. I don't mind having a little bit of blemishes showing because I like to keep it real. Okay, this is what you get. So love me from me, baby. So I'm gonna go ahead and set with this Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. I'm in the color 30. Oh, and the concealer that I use, which is pretty much my all-time favorite, it's the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the color Tan 45. You'll find this in any drugstore. You'll find it at Walmart. You'll find it on Amazon if you just like to shop and get it directly delivered to your house, which I love. I get Amazon deliveries literally like 2 to 3 times a week because I don't go shopping anymore. I rarely ever go out. Well, yes, we had a pandemic, but I mean, even before that, I started getting used to Amazon. So I pat the excess off on the back of my hand. That way it doesn't create big blotches of powder. And I pick up whatever is left. I don't like to put too much, especially in the winter when you're sweating, because when you sweat, wherever you put powder, I'm getting messages. Wherever you put powder starts looking really, really pale and dry. So I keep it to a minimum. What happened? I have like this mark here. Did I put too much in this area? Anyway, so. Okay, I think I fixed it. So yeah, you guys. I have a good debate. So I was really, I appreciated hearing that other point of view about how the pandemic is affecting, you know, people dynamics. But I'm still sticking to the theory that this is a perfect kind of time to know whether your character, your personality, is a good match for someone else's. Because whether pandemic or not, okay? Pandemic or not, stress is stress. And how you react to stress, whether it's high level stress, to me anyway, high level stress or low level stress, it really does bring out your true colors. And I'm including myself as everybody. So, I like to put a little bit of blush just to bring some life into my face. This is the burnt pepper, and usually I do that after bronzer, but we gonna do it like this, okay? Burnt pepper by MAC. I like it because it's kind of like it's a red, but with like a coppery undertone, which I appreciate. It just looks a little bit more natural. And yeah, so I add some of this on my nose, on my cheek, and I go upwards. Just makes me look cute and alive and healthy. So why do we put blush? Because naturally when you get shy or when you get flushed, you know, when someone says something nice about you and you smile, you get a rush of blood, okay, in your face, particularly in this area on your nose. And so blush just creates that natural blush, okay? As if you're always cute and feminine and like, oh my God, loving life, okay? So this is why we do that. This is what blush is for. And you know what? I'm liking the trick that I'm doing right now. But anyway, back to our conversation. But I'm liking the trick of like putting blush and highlighter before my bronzer because I feel like it's gonna make it look even more natural. It's not just gonna sit on my skin. So this is some highlight, bring some glow, okay? This is the Wet n Wild is broken. Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighting powder. You can also buy this at Walmart. And the color, here's the cover. The color is Golden Flower Crown. It's this one here. Golden Flower Crown. 333B. Okay. So what Shan Booty was saying about, you know, we're in unprecedented times and whatever's going on in the world can affect us in ways that, you know, life never has before. I appreciate the argument, but to me, again, I think stress is stress. It's a factor like any other, and the circumstance itself, I think will just determine like the intensity of the circumstance. For instance, right now it's a pandemic, but let's say your parents die, or let's say you lose a job, or let's say you get into an accident and you can't walk. Like those are dramatic, very powerful, saddening events. And I think respectively, they all can affect us deeply. And when they affect us, what comes out, I believe, okay, is our true character traits. The emotions that we don't really show when everything is like this. You know, the heartbeat graph, when your heartbeat's like this, when shit hits the fan, okay? And we see you for you, because you can't fake it. Your emotions are out there, tangible, because life gets really real and you have no choice but to be real. Now we see who you truly are. You can't have a plastic wrap on anymore when you go through stuff. So I feel like I've gone through a couple of those in my life, and I think that's why I can't go back to being just, you know, wearing a facade and pretending to be somebody I'm not. Yeah, once you get authentic, it's very hard to go back. So I love authenticity, and I love seeing who I'm dealing with. And if I can't read you, or if I don't feel that you are even willing to live an authentic life, it's very hard for me to bond with you. So this kind of time, again, I feel like it's the kind of time that really shows who people are truly are. And it's an opportunity for you to see who your true friends are. It's a great opportunity for you to see who you really are, what you have to work on, what I have to work on. So let's be aware. Let's open our eyes. And I mean our soul eyes, like your inner eyes, okay? And really see how people manage this time. You know, it'll teach you a lot. I'm using this, I consider it a bronzer. It's Sun Powered by MAC. I don't use this on my forehead, I only use it on my cheek. It kind of reinforces my blush. I find it a little too red to use as a bronzer. I bought it to act as a bronzer, but girl, it's way too red. So I kind of go over my blush with it, and it adds a little bit more of a glow to it. But as a bronzer, I use, and I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna use the same brush. Wait, wrong one. It's actually a powder. It's a pressed powder. It's Dark Deep Studio Water Weight Powder, also by MAC. So it has 2 tones. This is a little redder and this is more neutral. The both together to me give me my perfect shade. So I literally go in both. And this is what I use on my forehead. Because your girl got a big forehead, as you can tell. And see, it adds a little tan as if I really got some sun, girl. Yeah. And there's no shine to it. I don't like shine on my forehead, okay? So this is another reason why I like it, because it's matte. I'm gonna end up shining on my forehead, so why would I add more shine? Okay, you don't want that. You can use a little bit on your nose, and it's not dark. It's not like, on me anyway, it's not super, super dark. So it has just enough shadow. And that's pretty much it. Like, no foundation, guys. I don't need it. You don't need it. Unless you have a crazy, you know, pigmentation imbalance. Like, let's say this whole area is darker. I know some women have, you know, very dark shadows around their lips or on their foreheads, especially when you're pregnant. I've been there. Dark necks, you know, all of that. Then you can go for like full coverage stuff or medium coverage and build. But for every day, especially in the summer, I do not like using foundation. Powders all the way. Keep it dry, boo. Keep it dry. So this is a close-up. See, very natural, very everyday. I'm not gonna do much. I'm gonna throw on some lip gloss and call it a day. My hair's so long, you guys. I permed it and I have a video. I don't know if it's gonna come out before this video, but I permed my hair after 10 years. I did 10 years natural hair, rocking natural hair, and I gave in. I went back to crack, okay? Hair crack, for those who don't know. I went back to relaxer. I couldn't do it anymore. My hair was too thick, unmanageable. I couldn't do it. So I'm back to perm life, and it's pretty long. And I feel like it's healthy, so that's good. I'm gonna end the video here. I wanna hear what you think. Have your relationships been affected by the pandemic? And if so, do you think it's a good thing? Do you think we should blame it on the pandemic? Or do you think it was actually productive? Are you taking the time to learn what needs to be learned in this time when you're going through so much pressure, when you're under so much pressure? Are you seeing things in yourself that you didn't like, that you don't like, and that you want to change? Like, it's educational for yourself too, for me too. Like, it's opening my eyes a lot, and I can share what I learned about myself during this time in a different video. But yeah, so much to learn in this time, so much to share. I want to learn from you, and I hope you learned a thing or two from me, and I'll see you next time. Stand tall in life and in love.